and then Control T to make it fit. And I'm just going to make this one take up the entire canvas. So there, yeah, pretty good. Perfect. And then if you're happy with it, hit OK. So this example I found is really good because the lines are super crisp, and it's going to be very easy to color this thing in. All right. If you find a drawing out there whose lines are faded, you're going to find it's more difficult to color in because the color is going to want to spill into other areas. All right. Next thing I want to do is copy this layer. So I want you guys to leave the original by itself. And then I'm going to copy this guy right here. If you right click on it, sorry, you get the right one here. You can right click on it, or you can click one of these guys. Forget which one it is. Let me hover over it so it pops up here. Add layer, add layer, add layer, add layer. Duplicate layer. There it is right there. So if you click duplicate layer, you got two of them. And then I'm just going to turn one of them off right there so that it's safe and sound. And that is a good policy, so that if I do something to the one on accident, I'll always have this other one as my backup, and I can start over with it. So I'm going to use this guy right here, the one on top. And at this point, I could just start coloring. Let's see how that goes. So if I grab the bucket and click inside the hat, there it is. So that's what it looks like without doing anything. Now let me zoom in here. You can see there is a little bit of an issue. So the bucket is pretty good about filling in an area, but you can see that it doesn't get it all. And that is because the tolerance is set so tight. So when you click on bucket, if you look up at the top of the screen, you can see the tolerance is on 1, which means it is only going to fill in whatever color you picked to that exact color. So if you click, let's say right here, and the shade of white over here is slightly different, it won't fill in that color. And that's what happens when it gets closer to a border. So you need to up that tolerance and make it a little more tolerant. So if you change that tolerance to like 40, I think we can just type in there 40. Or not? No? No. Well, if you slide it to 40, let's see how it does. And you can see that looks pretty good. You might lose a little bit of your black. And you can see I am losing a little bit. So again, you can mess with that tolerance. If I drop that down to 30, let's see what it does. And that keeps a little bit more of the black. So somewhere in that range. But at some point, you're gonna find that it doesn't work. So if I drop it down, well, let's say 7, well, now it's making a liar out of me. That one's actually working pretty well. You can also hit the close gaps. So if I hit close gaps here, that will keep it from spilling out into the wide open. So keep that in mind. I might have to use that. Hopefully I won't. This drawing has such clean edges that I probably won't have to take advantage of that. Anyway, with the tolerance, getting back to that, you can see how having the tolerance too small is stopping it from coloring in this little area over here. So at some point, you're going to find that effect is an issue for you, and it's still doing it. So having that on 40 worked pretty well for me, or in that range. Yeah, be careful about clicking on the black lines, or you'll get this kind of thing right here. All right. So coloring an area is pretty easy. The other way to do it is to select an area with the magic wand, which you know. So you could come here with the magic wand, and you could pick an area and then color it using the brush, for example. Again, when you're picking an area, you're going to have to adjust that tolerance with the magic wand as well. You can see how it's not getting all of the area within her finger. So if I bump up that tolerance again to around 40 and click inside her finger, you can see it grabs it all. And then I can use the brush tool, if you would rather, and come in here and there you go. So using the brush tool, I was able to do essentially the same thing as I did with the bucket. The bucket is, of course, is a lot faster, which is what I would recommend using all the time. Let's try her eye. So if I went to the color blue here, and again, grab the paint bucket, and again, my tolerance is up there around 40, and click inside of her eye. See that colors out nicely. And then go with the black in the center there. Or you might choose a slightly different color. Okay, how about hair? Got to go for some more brownish color here. And get that bucket and try to do some hair. And you might want to have some fun here and do some slightly different colors. I know that's a bit dramatic, a little bit dramatic on the variation, but you get the idea. You could have fun with the hair is what I'm getting at. If I zoom in here, let me do that again. You can see I am having a little trouble with a bit of the white showing through, and that again is going to be from the that's going to be from the tolerance being a bit off here, or not being conducive. So if I undo what I did, I'll go back a little bit and make that tolerance even higher. Let's see if it gets in there. All right. So that helped a little bit. Another thing I'd like to point out is the ability to expand. So you can see, and I intentionally just backed this out so you can see that there's a little white line going all the way around the edge. So if you hit expand on your selection, what it does is it kind of spills out beyond the edges. So if you're getting any white along the edges, you can get rid of that by expanding your selection. And you're probably going to want to do that. Getting the skin tones is not an easy thing to do. So you're going to want to play around with that until you find a good skin tone color. I think I'll save the shading for next week, but for this week, what I want to do is what I've done so far, and just show you how you do the basic coloring, either using the paint bucket or, again, the magic wand, which is what I'm doing right now. You can just click on an area, and again, with the tolerance up high, you could then come in with any brush of your choosing and color in that area with the brush. I'm not sure if you were trying to do shading, this might be, you might choose to use the brush for that reason. For example, now that I've done this part of her hand in that color, I could come back with a slightly darker color and then grab the magic wand, pick that area, and paint that in. And again, I could use the paint bucket or whatever, and you can see how you get that shading effect. And I just did using the brush. So I know I said I wasn't going to show you how to do shading, but there's one bit right there for you. So oh, what the heck? Let's just finish it up. Uh, so her face is probably the best example of where you would want the shading because the hat would cast a shadow here. So if I picked her face, holding the shift key and just grabbed all of the areas that would be her face. And then I'm going to come in with the darker shade and do that. And this one I'm just going to use the brush, right? So I actually have the pen fairly large, and I'm just going to come in here and draw where I think that the shadow would be cast, something like this, just kind of following a hat like that, and then fill that in. Right. And then Control D to deselect, and then pick a slightly lighter color and come in with the paint bucket and just grab the rest of it. So there you go. There's a very easy way to do shading. Okay. So now you got that. Um, let's bring in other objects. I guess I'll just go to the internet for this. So I'm gonna go to my, I'll do this with you. We'll head on out to the internet and find something. So what would be a good object to have in here? Maybe a logo on the hat. Why not, right? What would be you could use your own logo. I'm gonna type in hat logo. See what pops up. All kinds of fun things. And I'm gonna go to images, and I just want one that is black and white because I want to color it in. And by the way, you can search things like that. You can click on tools here and you can go to type and you can say line drawing. And that will help you when you do your search for anything, help you get a line drawing that you can then color in. So when you search for your original object, you might want to try that out. Yeah, how about this thing right here? That looks like fun. So I'm gonna download this guy view image, and save it to my desktop. And I'm going to just say hat logo, hit save. Okay. And then I'll go back to this guy, and I'm going to bring it in. So I'm going to go File, Open as a new layer, and there's this thing. Here it is. All right, so I've got it pretty good here, placed pretty well. I want to get rid of its background, because obviously I don't want all this white around it. So I'm going to go to my magic wand and click on the white part, and I'm going to hit delete, Control D. So that's it. You want to see that again? So it's on its own layer, and I can move it around, but I don't want the background here. So I'll go to the magic wand, and you might want to, on your reference, choose layer. The tolerance is, again, around 40. I'm going to click in the white area and hit delete. If it's not deleting enough of the white, you can expand the tolerance. You can expand the selection. If you're getting any white around the edges, which I might actually be getting, you can come up to your expand and say, I want it to expand the selection a little bit so that it grabs that little bit of white, and then click and hit delete and get rid of the background. So that's how you get rid of the background. Super easy. Magic wand, delete button. And now I will move it into place. Maybe hit Control T, make it a little smaller, rotate it a little bit so it matches the alignment of her hat. And there you go. Hit OK. So now I've added something to the object here. And again, I would like you to leave the original there so I can see it. I'm going to hit duplicate layer. So anything you bring in, I want you to acknowledge. So I want you to turn it off, and I want you to acknowledge in some way so that I can tell when I'm grading these that this is its own item. So this one you might name and call the girl. And this one I might name and call logo. So that when I'm grading these, I will see, yeah, they have at least two separate objects here. And then you can go to the duplicate, and color it however you want. So not sure how I would color this logo, but maybe I'll make the hat brown. So in there, color the skull's hat, something like that. And oops. Of course, you can zoom in as tight as you need to do whatever you got to do here, but you get the idea.